Throughout Blue Lock, where we've discovered footballers with an impressive level, there's a group of players who stand out above all others so far, and they are classified as the new Gen 11. These characters are shrouded in countless questions and, without a doubt, are some of the most mysterious in all of Blue Lock. But how can we know if a player is a new Gen 11? Are there Blue Lock players with the same level? Who created the new Gen 11? And when will all the remaining players be revealed? First of all, we need to perfectly understand what a new Gen 11 is, as there's a lot of misinformation and lies surrounding this topic. That's why we must explain its exact definition. The meaning of new Gen 11 is explained to us at the start of the series, as during Itoshi Sai's introduction, being a member of this group of players himself. In his interview upon arriving in Japan, the journalist mentions that he was chosen by FIFA as one of the 11 best under-20 players of the moment. In other words, it's not a team, as many think, that could face Blue Lock in the future by collaborating with each other, as each one belongs to a different country and team. But clearly that's not the case, as this is just a title created by FIFA to generate more hype around these players on a media level, ensuring the football world has its eyes on them. Creating a lineup of 11 under-20 players, one for each position, recognized for their talent, potential, and mentality to become the future of world football. Or, to put it simply, as their name suggests, the 11 of the new generation. Although the new Gen 11 hide a great mystery behind them, which we'll uncover at the end of the video, currently only 3 of them have been revealed, including Don Lorenzo, Michael Kaiser, and Itoshi Sai. So, having explained the meaning of the new Gen 11, I invite you to leave in the comments which one is your favorite so far, and of course to subscribe to the channel. That said, let's continue uncovering the truth about the new Gen 11. To do so, we must answer one of the biggest questions about the new Gen 11. How can we know the level of these players? To determine the level of these players, there are obviously 2 ways. The first, and simplest, would be based on the salary of the offers from the Neo Egoist League, which was revealed at the end of this arc. We saw the new offers for both Michael Kaiser from Real Madrid and Don Lorenzo from the Italian team Ubers, with Kaiser's offer being 400 million and Don Lorenzo's 280 million. In other words, the value and annual salary of both players are much higher than those of the Blue Lock players, and we'd see a significant gap between them. However, this way of determining a player's level is somewhat complicated, as Itoshi Sai doesn't have an offer since he didn't participate in this arc. Additionally, Don Lorenzo apparently didn't score any goals in this league, which is why his offer is lower than Kaiser's. It's worth noting that as they play different positions, a striker isn't valued the same way as a center back. With that, we'd explain the second way to analyze the level of the new Gen 11, by comparing each of their performances throughout their appearances in matches within Blue Lock. Itoshi Sai had his only match with the old under-20 national team. Don Lorenzo was seen in a single full match during the Bastard München vs. Ubers clash, and Michael Kaiser has appeared in every single match of the Neo Egoist League. Obviously, the only one who has shown clear superiority among the 3 revealed new Gen 11 would be Itoshi Sai, a player who couldn't be defeated throughout his entire match. In contrast, Don Lorenzo, although he performed impeccable one-on-one marking against Kaiser, was ultimately dribbled past and humiliated by Baru. And of course Kaiser, who, as we know, was in a constant war against Isagi throughout the Neo Egoist League. And although he achieved his goal of receiving an offer to leave Bastard München, he was outscored by Isagi in goals throughout this arc. But this doesn't confirm that Itoshi Sai is the best new Gen 11, as his only appearance was when the level of Blue Lock players was far inferior to that of the Neo Egoist League. Therefore, with hardly any effort, he was carrying that team and humiliating every opponent in his path. It's not the same case as Kaiser, who seemed far superior at the start of the league, but gradually had everything go against him. Over the course of 4 matches in this arc, Isagi's supremacy overshadowed him much more. This means that, as of today, we can't compare or rank the level of the new Gen 11, as each plays in a different position, hasn't had the same number of match appearances, nor the same conditions on the field. This leads us to answer the next question. Are there any Blue Lock players with the level to be a new Gen 11? The simplest answer is yes. If you're enjoying the video, leave a huge like and subscribe to the channel. And also comment which Blue Lock player you think has the level of a new Gen 11. To answer properly, we can't make casual comparisons or confirm nonsensical things like saying Gagamaru is a new Gen 11, as no goalkeeper of that category has even been revealed in Blue Lock to date. Therefore, to analyze the level of Blue Lock players compared to the new Gen 11, they must play the same position and have played in the same match at the same time on the field. In this case, since everyone in the Blue Lock project is a striker, it's absurd to compare Don Lorenzo with any of Blue Lock's defenders, not even Oliver Aiku, as they are very different profiles of center backs. And regarding Itoshi Sai, as I mentioned earlier, the level of the under-20 match was far inferior to the current one. So we'll compare the best Blue Lock strikers with Michael Kaiser. Considering the top 5 Blue Lock strikers in the Neo-Egoist League ranking, we can quickly rule out Meguru Bachira. He has better dribbling than Kaiser, but much worse field vision, physicality, speed, and shooting ability. Baru and Ryusei Shidao, as good as they are nowhere near Kaiser's level. In fact, Kaiser's final offer, the Emperor, is almost triple that of these two players. On the other hand, Sagi, despite emerging as the victor in their duel and as the leader of Bastard München, can't surpass Kaiser in terms of individual skill for now. In fact, at the start of the league, Asagi himself indicates that Kaiser would be his ideal version as a player. And finally, Itoshi Rin would be the player closest to the level of a new Gen 11, being, of course, the best Blue Lock player. He has impeccable individual skills both in his regular playstyle and in his destructive flow state. In fact, in the final match of the league, he had to be stopped by both Kaiser and Asagi at the same time. But obviously, despite this, even though it may have caused some confusion, Rin doesn't have Kaiser's physicality, as he was defeated in their one-on-one duel, nor the great power and shooting speed, as the Emperor has a better shot than even Noel Noah, nor the great field vision, as Kaiser has metavision. Therefore, currently, no Blue Lock player comes close to the level of a new Gen 11. And it doesn't make sense to compare them for the reasons already mentioned, plus they must be recognized by FIFA to officially belong to the new global generation. Having clarified all this, it's time to uncover the hidden mystery behind the new Gen 11 players, revealing the whole truth about this group of the new generation of world football, which hides so many secrets. In this case, the most frequently asked question about the new Gen 11 is, who was the creator of this group of players? When talking about this, the main suspect everyone thinks of would be the current FIFA president, Reinar. And I say current because years ago he was only an authorized FIFA agent. In other words, he climbed the ranks until he became the supreme leader of world football. But what connection does Reinar have with the new Gen 11? The answer lies in Kaiser's revealed past. When he was arrested by the police after being beaten by his father and knocking out all the officers with a football, just a few hours after being locked in a cell, this authorized FIFA member appeared, asking him if he loved football and proposing that if he played for him, he would help him escape that tragic situation. In fact, he himself explains the reason for all this. When he took Kaiser to the Bastard facilities, he told him he was traveling the world to find young football talents. But to continue with the connection between Reinar and the new Gen 11, we must look at the past of the other players. In Don Lorenzo's case, he was abandoned by his parents and lived by scamming, surviving on the streets. But when he was on the verge of death, Mark Snuffy asked him if he wanted to play football with him, thus getting Lorenzo off the streets and giving him gold teeth in exchange for playing football. But you might be wondering, what does Reinar have to do with Mark Snuffy? Well, nothing directly. But in the same way he learned through his contacts and the media that a minor had taken down police officers with a football, he also found out that in Italy, one of the world's best players, Mark Snuffy, had recruited a homeless person to turn him into a professional footballer. The same happens with Itoshi Sai. He was signed by Real Madrid from Japan, and despite having a brother who adored him and parents who supported him on his journey to Spain, he had a terrible start. He had lost weight and looked downcast, in worse physical condition. This was due to the barrier between professional players, as it's mentioned, since it's confirmed there were players better than him. That's why Yoichi Asagi experienced great anxiety, depression, and his career was on the verge of ending as he couldn't measure up at the world's best club. Rydar took advantage of this situation to convince Sai to become a midfielder, thus increasing his level and performance. Thanks to this, he became a new generation 11, just like Kaiser and Lorenzo. If we notice, these three players of the new generation have several things in common. They were all in difficult and critical situations in their lives, they all had great football talent, and they could all be influenced by negative emotions. Kaiser by malice, Lorenzo by greed, and Itoshi by frustration. This means Rydar created the perfect situation for these players to evolve after their lowest moments and reach an incredible level in the under-20 category. But what is Raider's motive for creating the new Generation 11? One of them would be his aforementioned rise, going from being one of FIFA's authorized agents to becoming the president of the organization. Years earlier, when Rydar discovered Michael Kaiser, he hit the mark perfectly. Kaiser became one of the best under-20 strikers in the world. The same happened with Don Lorenzo, the best center back today, and Itoshi Sai, one of the best midfielders in his category. Thanks to these discoveries, Rydar was promoted and gained complete control of world football. On the other hand, there's also the issue of money. As I explained at the start of the video, the new Generation 11 is a media award created to highlight the best under-20 players today, putting them in the spotlight, and of course generating a lot of money. This is clearly seen in Ryder's meeting with Burasuta, where the latter agrees to the deal if the plan increased football revenue. And that was fulfilled. Huge offers came for these players in the Neo Egoist League. For example, the offer for Kaiser, the player with the highest known value so far, who ended up at the world's best team. Or, as happened with Itoshi Sai in the under-20 match, mobilizing all of Japan to watch a player labeled as a new Generation 11 face the then unknown Blue Lock project participants. And finally, while Ryder may seem greedy and only interested in his own benefit, no one knows his true plan. What the world sees is that he gave an opportunity to people who were at a critical point in their lives. Kaiser in jail, Don Lorenzo living on the streets, Itoshi Sai possibly depressed. In this way, Ryder was whitewashed by the world and is now FIFA's president, when in reality his true intentions are power, control, and money. With all this information on the table and the truth revealed about the new Generation 11, one final question remains. What about the rest of the new Generation 11 players? These 8 remaining characters will be revealed throughout the Under-20 World Cup. Keep in mind that this is likely the final arc of this category and the last chance to showcase all the remaining new 11. They will be revealed in the different countries participating in the World Cup and, of course, those that have the opportunity to face Japan. There are still positions to be revealed within the new Generation 11, such as goalkeeper, fullbacks, and even offensive wingers. This way, the ideal 11 of the new generation can be completed, and all these players can be confirmed as new Blue Lock characters. We'll talk more about this in another video on the channel where I'll share my predictions about the remaining countries, teams, possible positions, and skills of each of them. Of course, I'll do this if you request it in the comments and support this video with a like and a subscription. That said, heartfelt thanks to all the channel members for their support. Thank you so much for watching the video. A like and a subscription are greatly appreciated. See you in the next one. Goodbye.